Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at how we can attach our GoPro cameras to any LEGO Technic model. So a couple of the solutions that are already available to us is we can use the existing GoPro shoe housing that can basically glue onto a series of beams. For example, you could use something like this, fill it up with beams on the side and glue it on. You could also use a rubber connector or simply build yourself a frame or strap it down using elastics if you like. There are a bunch of approaches that are already done and tried and tested out, but what I want to show you here today in today's video is how you can use a 3D printed adapter to go and flawlessly attach your camera to LEGO Technic. So in front of us we have 4 adapters, and 2 of them are going to be the most important ones that I'm going to be talking about, and that's these 2 here. So the other 2 are more just a product development, something that I had to go through in order to bring out the best possible solution. The one on the left is a 2x2 beam that has a GoPro housing here, GoPro adapter. And this one didn't really work out or was not that useful because of the 2x2 configuration. I think that 2 studs is a very difficult stud length to go and integrate with most products because everything seems to be 3 long. It basically works in odd numbers when you are working with the new studless Technic. So this one quickly went to the side, and I went and developed it and improved some of the dimensions on it because a few parts of it were a little bit too loose, like for example the hole for the hex nut. So those things had to be adjusted. So the second one that came out was the 1x3 beam, which was much more successful. Fortunately, I was able to now go and connect it well to other parts of my LEGO Technic models, and it did fit a lot better. So this right now is available on the website. It happens to be one of the most popular things that gets sold all the time because it is so inexpensive. People feel that they don't really have anything to lose by testing out these sort of products. And the other thing that I can mention between all the GoPro adapters is that it is the one thing that people feel comfortable with because they don't mind attaching a third-party adapter to a third-party non-LEGO camera. So if you do consider yourself to only work in a very pure way where you will not allow anything that is not LEGO onto your models, as soon as you attach your camera is obviously not LEGO. So people don't mind the fact that they are attaching a adapter which it belongs to the GoPro as opposed to something belonging to LEGO or Technic. So what you can see here is that once you slide in that housing, the connection is completely perfectly sized so that that happens without there being any gaps, without there being any stress on the adapter once you bolt it down. Similarly, the sizing of the pins happens so that they slide in quite neatly, and also once you connect it onto your LEGO Technic beam, that connection will be very, very well sized as well. So generally before anything does go on sale in the shop, it has been tested, and that's very often why you see some products being in the inventory but just being not for sale. It's because they're busy being tested and printed and checked for sizing perfection before they actually go on sale. So the 2 that we have left here are the 2-part adapters. So each of these come in 2 halves that are not the same, and they basically will join and meet together to form the completed adapter. So the one on the left is one that I wanted to try out in color. So it's in a polished plastic, so I wanted a smoother, colorful material to look more interesting. But what in fact happens is that the colors that are available with Shapeways don't really correspond that well with the colors of LEGO Technic. So the only red that Shapeways makes actually looks completely pink. If you can see that there, the difference between the 2 is a little bit too harsh, and having pink adapters is not really part of anyone's color scheme, I think. So the one that works the best and the one that I would recommend to anybody who's looking for an adapter is this one here. I've nicknamed it the Black Rock because I only sell it in black and it is that solid. So what you will need once you have any one of these adapters is your 5 nut. I'm going to slide that in there, and you'll see that it doesn't come out on its own. It's sized very well to hold in place. And then you will need obviously one of your existing GoPro bolts to go and just screw that down. And then to attach it, there are a number of different ways, and we're going to look at a few of them here. I'm going to use 3L pins. It's my favorite way of connecting this. And then you attach the one side, and you will then just go ahead and push in the other side. Once you push those 2 halves together, you will see that this is now formed, and you can basically slide your GoPro in there, and just as effortlessly as you can see it, it's being placed inside, and again there's no tension on the actual flanges here that are busy being bolted down. So once you screw that tight, you can go as tight as you want, you're not going to damage anything. You have a very solid connection using one single beam to your camera. So what I'm going to show you now is if I change this housing to one of the framed housings for the GoPro, you'll have a look in this next section as to what the weight is. Now, if weight is an important factor to you, then you can look at getting the 3D printed GoPro adapter together with the lightweight outside frame for your GoPro camera. So this is the one where you'll have to remove the camera from its actual waterproof casing. You'll put that into the outer frame, and you'll see that this is only going to be around 25 grams to add onto your actual model together with the camera. So the 25 grams is going to be pretty much the lightest solution that you will ever be able to find in order to attach your camera without adding too much bulky weight. So now that we've seen how many grams we are going to save with using a 3D printed approach, the next thing I want to have a look at is the different ways that we can go and attach this onto LEGO Technic. So let's just go and remove this. This is obviously one of the ways, and I can just compare this approach to using the second or the cheaper version with the single pins. If I attach it like so, even using 3 pins, you'll see that once you have this double part approach, you'll see that this is a lot more flimsy and it can still be removed quite easily. So you would have to go and build at least 2 beams from both sides and basically brace them to hold this firmly in place, whereas this is always going to hold in place and it's never going to come apart once that GoPro is holding it all together quite well. So the few things that I can show you here is my favorite beam over here, and a couple of turntables that we can have a look at, and we can also have a look at one of these, and this we can then also talk about a couple of other GoPro parts that can be added into the mix. So let's just have a look at all of this. And the first one we're going to look at is the basic Technic beam. So I'm going to just remove this from here, and you can attach it to either this part at the top or onto the side. Just going to push that in and push this in here. And then this can then attach onto your model. You can attach it from these 4 points, or you can choose whichever way suits your needs the best. You can also attach this like so with a shorter beam inside, and then you can push pins in from the outside, and then you can go and motorize the entire GoPro for yourself if you want to create a little car that can basically pan from left to right. So a whole bunch of options there for you. Same thing with the turntable. You can use the smaller turntable, and I think this one is a lot more compact. So if we go and pull this all apart, I'm just going to do it with these 2 pins on the outside for this one, and we can go and attach that to there. So here you will go and attach this, and then you can go and have your free panning adapter attached to that. So another one is to use something like this. You can go and put this into the middle, and you can put your other half of the adapter here, and then you would go and attach your camera onto there. So here you would have your 2 points that are attached there, but I think that this is slightly less sturdy because you're only having a pin attachment on the side. But then again, it does leave the opportunity to go and attach other things onto the outside like so, and from the other side as well. So that is available too. Again, if you have a look, if I zoom into it, you will see exactly the size, how it basically is the same size as LEGO Technic. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how you can use other GoPro accessories. Let me just pull this apart. How I can use other GoPro accessories to basically go and create other interesting combinations with my GoPro adapter. So the first thing is that if you want to have a beam facing in this direction and you want to attach a camera onto it, then what would happen if you just did it the normal way is basically you would end up with the camera sitting sideways. So let me just quickly go and attach all of this. So with this approach here, the camera is attached this way, and basically our beam is in this direction. So what I want to do now is find a way of simply rotating it in order to angle it towards my model. And this is where something like this would be quite helpful. This is basically just a 90-degree connector, which is a accessory that you can find anywhere on the internet. It's not something that needs to be 3D printed. So once this slides into place and once you bolt that down, you can then go and attach your GoPro camera into it from this direction, and you can all of a sudden attach that to your model, and you will still be able to have this rotation as well as this rotation in that direction. So that gives you quite a nice adjustment that you can make while attaching it. So very similarly, you can also go and attach something like a extendable arm, and this would basically just be attached like so onto your GoPro adapter, and then you would attach your camera onto this end. So what you have here is something perhaps that you want to attach onto your model. You could obviously build this all in Technic, but if you do already have something like this in place, that does allow you to already have different type of connection that you can go and compare with. So between all of that, you have a lot of options to think about. Obviously my recommendation is to get the strongest adapter, especially if you want to go and drive with a GoPro onto it. GoPros are quite heavy once you do get some vibration in them, so you want to make sure that they're well attached onto what you're building. So I hope that you enjoyed that. All of this is available to you in the SevenStuds store. Do go have a browse through, and I hope that you do enjoy what you're busy filming and what you're busy creating, and let me know what you think about the product if you do go and buy it, so that I have some feedback from you as well. Thanks a lot. Cheers.